today. Now, my guest this morning is a professor, and he shares something in common with Noddy Holder, which might surprise you, but it's absolutely true. He's Professor Rashid Gatrad. Good morning and welcome to the programme.
Morning.
So what's the connection then between you and Noddy Holder?
Well, we both have received freedom of the Borough of Walsall. I think you received it about 4 or 5 months after I received it.
Right, okay. And you're the only two living recipients, I believe.
I believe there have totally been about 21 in the history of Walsall. I was the 21st.
Right.
And Noddy Holder is 22nd, yeah. One unfortunately died recently.
Right.
Yeah.
So does this give you, was it permission to drive a flock of sheep through the town or something like that?
I think historically that's true.
You haven't tried it
but
yet.
I haven't tried it. No, it'd not be very easy in Walsall, actually.
No, I think it would. I don't think anybody turn an eyebrow. They just go, oh yes, yes, there he is. There's Professor Gatrad. Yeah, we recognise him. The main reason you're here, of course, is that we're talking. One of your roles in life is you are Deputy Lieutenant of the West Midlands. You are an ambassador for Walsall, and in terms of voluntary awards, you make recommendations to the Queen, don't you?
I do indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any direct connection, or have you ever met the Queen, or?
I have met the Queen, yes, particularly when I got my OBE, but it's an indirect connection through the lieutenancy, and each county has got a lieutenancy, and each lieutenancy has got a Lord Lieutenant. So we work as deputies to the Lord Lieutenant, and one of the remits is to scout around, I suppose, and look for good voluntary organizations that do work over and above, and perhaps encourage people to put their names forward for a Queen's Awards for Voluntary Service.
Because largely being a Deputy Lieutenant, it's a very much a ceremonial position, isn't it? So presumably, is it just when the Queen comes to an area that you're in attendance, or is it any royal visit?
You can be asked to go and take on a royal visit by the lieutenancy, and there are a few deputy lieutenants in the West Midlands. So it depends on where the royal is coming. I've got one royal visit coming up soon, but I'm not allowed to say who it is.
No, of course not, no.
And I think overall, it's not only the royal visits, but there are lots of other jobs, I suppose, in inverted commas, that lieutenancy does. Basically, really, the lieutenancy is the eyes and ears of the Queen, and the whole ethos is to uphold the dignity of the Crown. And in a general sort of way, to answer your question, it's basically to promote cohesion in the community, work with the community, encourage voluntary organizations, and take interest in anything that goes on in the civic, in the military, in the academic, in the business enterprise section, and basically to be really helpful in creating a big society.
I mean, you're ideally placed because obviously Walsall has been your base, and you know the number of people you must have seen as patients over those years.
Absolutely.
I bet you can't even begin to remember how many it is. But I mean, it's a nice honour to be given this, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I think it's something you don't say no to.
No.
No.
So what about this role as ambassador for Walsall? Do the two fit in together then, do they?
In a sense it does, because there are two other deputy lieutenants, and the ambassador is the head of the lieutenancy for Walsall. And for example, anything that happens in Walsall that is relevant to the, say, Queen's Awards or anything to do with royalty, I'll be the first person to be notified. If there was a person put forward for a nomination for a personal award, which is MBE or OBE, and he may be from Walsall, I would be contacted to say, do I know that person? Having been here a long time, I've got, I suppose I've come to know a lot of the communities, and more importantly, I think they've come to know me as well. Yeah.
You're quite a powerful position there, aren't you? I mean, you could say, no, I don't like him. I don't think they should get an award. I mean, I'm not saying you would do that, but I mean, presumably, part of what they want you to do is to make sure that the right people get them, for want of a better way of putting it.
I agree with you. I think it's a question of how you package your nomination, and sometimes the nominations may be over-packaged. And from our point of view, it's a question of getting evidence. And generally speaking, whoever gets a personal award almost always has got to be very well respected by his or her peers. And a lot of the time people in the community are well known, and I know, and I've put forward 3 nominations in the last year. Doesn't mean that those people will get it. It is unusual for a deputy lieutenant to do so, but I think those people deserve it, and I think it's worth trying them out and see if they can get something out of this.
But of course, the point should be made as well. I mean, anybody can recommend anybody for
well, anybody
award,
can.
Can't they?
You see, from the West Midlands point of view, the population is, I think, about 4.5% of the national population. And it's very underrepresented in terms of both the Queen's Awards for Voluntary Service, and Walsall has got nobody being nominated. So my job is to make sure we put ourselves in the map. And the others, obviously, we need to make sure that ethnic minorities are represented, the females are represented, and only half of the people actually receive proportionately.
It is Brain Tumour Awareness Month, and of course we hear today that Paul Daniels has died of a brain tumour this morning. Professor Rashid Gatrad is with me. As a paediatrician, you must have seen some youngsters with brain tumours. It's an awful thing to get at a young age, isn't it?
It is an awful thing. I dare say that I may have looked after some, I'm not sure. But it was some time ago, and obviously with modern management, children do survive much longer. But having said that, I think brain tumour is one of the ones, depending on what sort of tumour it is, some people do better than others. But a lot of tumours in children are now curable, particularly the leukemias, which is very satisfactory, really. Yeah.
Let's just go back to talking about the reason why you are with us this morning. We're talking about the voluntary awards, the recommendations that you make. How do you begin to sort of try and look out there and see who's there and who should be getting an award?
Well, first of all, it was difficult for me because I didn't know a lot of charities in Walsall. So I tried to get hold of the voluntary sector, and unfortunately there was a change in the voluntary sector. It was going through a change, so it wasn't perhaps a good exercise to go through. But I think working with the council has helped a little. And then I just went on to Google and Googled a lot of charities in Walsall, and some help I got from council, and the others I contacted myself, and got hold of them, had a couple of meetings with them, and encouraged them to nominate. They can't nominate themselves. They can get somebody else to nominate.
So what sort of things would you look for then? What would make you think that's somebody that you should be nominating?
For the Queen's Awards. It's a charity that has got a huge impact on the community, and if it wasn't there, the lives of a lot of people may not be bettered. For example, there may be a charity that looks after alcoholics and down and outs, perhaps, if I may say that, and they have a place where they can go to, a place where they can relate to other people. That may be the only family they've got. It's a well-run outfit, an outfit that's been running for more than 3 years, an outfit which has got more than 50% volunteers. That's crucial. So it's 50% volunteers, 50% should have right to live in this country, and it doesn't have to be work that has got impact in this country. It could be people working in this country, but an impact is abroad.
Because you must have seen over the years in your time working in medicine that how many people are dependent on carers who are not being paid, how many people are dependent on charities and people who work for them for nothing, just to get through on a day-to-day basis.
That's very true, but at the same time, you see, that sort of an organisation takes away the expenses that the council may have to undertake. So charities are very important in making sure that the budget of the council is not spent. But if one gets a Queen's Award for Voluntary Service, which is a heavy award, it's as good as a personalised MBE. It's the highest award a charity can get. They can put it on their letterhead. It gives them kudos. It gives them higher ranking. They can get better funding. So lots of positives if you get a Queen's Award for Voluntary Service. I'm hoping at least in the next couple of years, Walsall will have a couple.
And as an ambassador for Walsall, I can imagine at times that can be quite a challenging title to have.
It is and it isn't. I think the amount of work one does as a Queen's Lieutenant is largely left to you. And I'm the sort of person, and I think a lot of people are like me, that if you're given something to do, i.e. have the honour of doing Queen's Lieutenant work, then I think, you should do the work and do it to your best ability. So I'm hoping that, this is just one of the things that the Deputy Lieutenant does, that I do it well, and in time there'll be some results. We also do, for example, citizen ceremonies every month. I split it with my other 2 colleagues who are also Deputy Lieutenants. And we do those once a month. And it's a fantastic event. But you see, a lot of people have not heard about lieutenancy. They don't know who a Queen's Lieutenant is. So hopefully, over the next couple of years, we'll be able to get it out there that we exist, and we are there basically for the community.